Hello, welcome to our garden. The sun is shining. Today is January 11th. Last video I planted up a couple of little bits and pieces in the greenhouse. Not too many. I've got a load of peas in for some pea shoots. I've got some salad mix in just to get some early greens. You saw me sort out the blueberry bush, which was getting eaten and devastated. There's no growth on it yet. I don't expect there to be any for some time anyway. And also the blackcurrants in the ericaceous potting mix. So we'll see how they do. But today I decided to have a little wander around and get some other bits planted. I was watching Jesse at plot 37 a couple of days ago, and I suddenly realised I have a heated propagator now. Back in November I went to a car boot sale. Gotta love car boot sales. You always find a bargain. And decided to pop a little bit of money into a heated propagator to give it a go. And the thing that she was planting was primarily peppers. Now, I have mixed success with peppers. Early season, I tend to get quite a good yield, but it tails off far earlier than other people's. And I'm not sure why, but I'm going to give it another go this year because there's nothing nicer than a nice crunchy pepper. I'm also going to give it a go with a few Tommies. But I thought, right, I need to go through my seed selection and try and figure out what I'm planting. I'll just quickly show you. So, this is the rough plan for the year. Quite a nice selection of different bits and pieces. Onions, radishes, carrots, corn, parsnips, aubergines, the brassicas, pumpkins, melons, artichokes, etc, etc. So, my plan today, apologies again for the poor camera work, still learning how to do all this. Plan today is I'm going to get myself all set up now. Get the propagator out, and we're going to set everything up in here, and then I'm going to bring it in to the shed because my shed has got a south facing window and electricity supply in it, so I'm going to try and see what it's like in there. Odds are I'm probably going to need a grow light because otherwise these plants might get quite leggy, but we'll go through that as we do. This video may be over a couple of days, I don't know, because I'm working at the moment, but I'm just having a well-deserved 10-minute break quickly. Right, see you when I'm set up. Right, so here's the setup. I've got aubergine wise early long, which can go in now. I've also got these pinstripe ones, which it does state no, you can't plant them until February, but I'm going to give a go with a couple, and then I'll put another in say 4 weeks or so, to sort of counter it if these ones don't work, but they look gorgeous. At the moment I'm only going to put one set of tomatoes in, and that is some good old gardener's delight, because they always do well. Telepathy cucumbers, they're the ones that I grew in the greenhouse and just were so prolific. Also the Tasty King, which I grew outside, and they seem to do really well. Again, not supposed to sow these until next month, but I am having a little play and experiment. I'm not going to plant too many. Peppers, I've got 3 varieties. I've got a California Wonder, which is always quite nice. We've got a sweet pepper, which I tried for the first time last year, and these turned out really good. I was quite pleased with them. And then Cayenne pepper as well, which is an old pack and has actually expired, so I'll be curious to see whether that works. And my son has been pestering me for radishes, so some French breakfast, some Diana, and some Scarlet Globe. These are the trays for my little thing. So they sit in like so. It's quite a long propagator, but it fits nicely on the shelf that I've got in the shed. Lid on top. So the process will be, I've got some homemade compost here, which unfortunately has still got a fair few bits in it, but I'm not overly worried at this point. I think it'll turn out absolutely fine. So put in a nice little bit of soil, and then using, oh, I shouldn't spin the camera around like that, sorry. Using another tray, going to firm it down, and then obviously going to pop 4 or 6 holes depending on which one in there, pop them in and see how it works. Right, see you in a minute. Right, so got my trays, already popped little holes, 6 in each. That's all I'm going to be doing. So first thing is the pinstripe aubergine. So I'm going to be planting 3 of those today. 1, 2, 3. And in the same tray, because I get very confused very easily when it comes to these. In the same tray I'll be putting in these beautiful things. So these are the early long purples. because I get confused quite easily, I've already set up all of my little tags. Quite a few more seeds with this one. Pinstripe only seemed to have 6 seeds in it. It's fine, but it does surprise me how some of these varieties, especially the heritage ones, you get such a small volume of seeds. Doesn't allow for people like me to make silly mistakes like planting them outside in March last year. You know, just before we had that horrible frost. I think I had 2 aubergines, that was it. And they didn't really come out as well as I'd hoped. So they're now in their holes. So all I'm going to do is just gently brush over the top of them. Make sure I don't turn the container because I will get confused. My little tags. Where are they? Cucumbers, peppers, aubergine. So we have pinstripe, back, and early long. And then that goes in my container with its nice little lid. And I'll give these a little spritz down. But yeah, so I'm going to carry on now. Plant through these other 3 tubs. The radishes, they don't need to be in one of these tubs. I usually put them in, where is it? There is. Put them in a container and then plastic bag. A couple of spritz of water inside it. Leave it in the greenhouse. It gets more than enough sun to start germinating. They don't need that higher temperature for the majority of them. Some of them need a hotter temperature, but like the French breakfast, most people plant them out around about March time. If you plant them in a greenhouse, if you've got that, then they tend to grow a lot quicker. My son and I love our radishes, so I try and get them growing as quick as I possibly can. We'll see how they go. So yeah, so I'm going to plant the cucumbers, tomatoes, and the peppers next, and I'll see you when I've done it. It's actually getting quite warm in here now. We're at 21 degrees in the greenhouse. Can't complain with that at all. Love it. Right, so they're now all potted up in their pretty little tubs. So that's that bit done. Next is the radishes. As I say, use little bags like this to be able to add a little bit of extra heat to these things. Radishes don't need to be as hot. So with the peppers and things like that, they need a good steady 20 degrees to be able to germinate properly. Radishes, not so much. They're quite hardy. I've got a number of them that I actually let go to seed over winter, including one variety. I don't think the seeds are quite dry enough yet, but I'm looking forward to re-sowing from what I've grown last year. That'd be quite nice. But what I do for an early start, use a flower tray. It's just big old flower trays, Tesco's, B&Q, all those places where they do flowers, they just stick them in these big plastic trays. And they're quite good for things like radishes, because you need some depth, which you've got. It's what, 1.5 inches, 2 inches? So it's a good bit of depth to it. But I'm not growing an awful lot of them. Each of these 6 compartments, between 4 and 6, I'll be growing in them. 2 compartments per type of radish, so it gives us a little bit of an early kick to it. Cheers you up. By the time these are ready, I'll be planting loads of other things out, so a little bit of energy to be able to carry on with the gardening. So, as I said, varieties I'm growing. So this one is new to me, but I think that purple colour is fantastic. So these are Dianas. Scarlet Globe, one of my son's favourites. And then the staple, the English breakfast. So I'll pop these in the tray, give them a spritz, pop them in a bag, bring you back in a second. Right, so they're now all in the trays. My very high-tech watering system. I've got a water butt attached to both the greenhouses, so take a little bit of water, chuck them in. Now, this soil is already a bit moist. Took it from the composter a minute ago. Did mix it with a little bit of bought compost as well, because I just can't be doing with trying to empty those Daleks today. So, that's that done. And then, as I said, add some extra moisture, extra humidity and heat to it. Take the tray and try to get it in the bag without losing all of my tags. Apparently not. Let's just lie the tags down, shall we? That's better. And then this will sit in the greenhouse with the bag on, most likely for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then once I know that the regular cold temperatures have warmed up just a little bit, then I can take them out of the bag let them grow on a bit longer, that'll be fine. Now, I do like doing these bags. I can't remember for the life of me who it was that I saw do this. I have a feeling it was his name Charles Dowdry? Or it might be the lady from Homemaker's Farm, I'm not sure. But yeah, this will help trap a little bit of moisture in there. Now, I was going to go and plant some rocket, but I haven't tidied the bed out yet. So that'll have to wait for another day. So the only thing left here to do is tidy up, make everything a little bit cleaner, and call it a day. So thank you ever so much for joining us, I do appreciate it. If you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing. And if there's anything you want to see on here, any different bits and pieces, anything to go through in more detail, or any advice, because I am fairly new to this, then please do comment below. Anyway, hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for joining us at our garden.